So we've got a dilemma here in America, and there's a way to turn that around. Now, the big way, of course, is to limit what you eat and move more. That's the secret weapon of weight loss. But I had another secret weapon I used, which were herbs. And that's what I want to tell you about. Some herbs that will give you a better chance of succeeding while you eat more healthy food, less fatty food, and start to learn how to move more and put that into your life. Because it's not easy. We all know that. So the herbal secret weapon is what I call Superslim. So let's talk about it. And I'll tell you what it does. Okay, I broke it down. As you know, I'm an educator. I love teaching. I have traveled all over the world. I taught in Europe for 15 years, every summer. And I still speak when I get a chance. But nowadays I find that if I can do a presentation like I'm doing today, and we create a DVD, we can send it out to 1 million or 2 million people, so I get a big audience versus traveling and speaking and being arrested and all those things that I like to do. Okay, so let's talk about what I put together here. A lot of this is what I used in the clinic. I have years and years of success with these formulas, but I'm always tweaking and changing. And let's talk about the first category here, which is the dual action appetite suppressant. I love that name. I love creating cool names. And we're going to start with an herb that many of you have probably heard of called Hoodia. Although some people think Hoodia is new, it's actually been traced back to one of the oldest tribal people on the planet. The natives, the tribes of South Africa in the Kalahari Desert. And it was discovered many, many, many years ago. Not even this century, last century, 50, 60 years ago, even in the 30s by other researchers, that these natives would go on hunting quests. And when they would go on hunting quests, they would eat this cactus, drink the juice, eat the gel of this cactus, and not eat on their hunting quest so they could kill animals, feel strong, and bring it back so everybody in the tribe could survive. And they've traced these tribes back to, it's thought, 27,000 years. Some people think that the original peoples of the planet came from the continent of Africa. Now, I don't get into history and genetic arguments, but we know that these tribes go way back. Okay, what does Hoodia do? Well, inside your brain, there's a small organ called a hypothalamus. It's called the hypothalamus. We're not going to get too detailed here, but one thing we know is the hypothalamus regulates chemicals. So did you ever wonder why, like, your ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone? But when do they know to stop? When do they know to turn on? If you don't have enough in your blood, the hypothalamus picks that up and creates what's called gonadotropin-releasing hormones. Your ovaries detect that in your bloodstream, and they produce more estrogen and progesterone. When there's enough in your blood, your hypothalamus notices that, detects that, and sends out other chemicals to stop the production. And that's how your whole endocrine system works, like adrenaline, your thyroid hormones that come out of your thyroid, some of your digestive hormones, your feminine and masculine hormones, your insulin hormones. This is the balance. The hypothalamus is like the chemical regulator of your body, of your metabolism. You know, a lot of people wondered why Dong Quai works so good for women. Does it contain estrogen? Does it contain progesterone? It's one of the top 3 ingredients in all my female formulas. And they wonder, why does it work so good? Because they can't find anything in it that works. And then they discovered that it sensitizes your hypothalamus, which means that your hypothalamus picks up the more subtle fluctuations of your estrogen and progesterone. And that's how it works. And that's why it helps ladies balance your hormones greater than you do normally, by sensitizing your hypothalamus. Well, it's discovered that Hoodia does something very, very similar with your hypothalamus. When you eat, your blood sugar raises up. It gets more blood sugar. And this is why when you have low blood sugar, you feel like, oh, I'm feeling shaky, I need to eat. And when you have enough blood sugar, you're like, oh yeah, that's cool, life's good. When you take the Hoodia, there's a chemical in it called a steroidal glycoside. It's a plant chemical. But they believe that it triggers nerve cells in your hypothalamus to release the chemicals it releases when you're full, even though you're not full. That's simply what it's doing. Okay, so normally you eat, your blood sugar goes up, your hypothalamus says, stop, you pig, releases chemicals, and you feel full. But that takes a while. Hoodia makes the hypothalamus do that same thing, but without eating. So it naturally suppresses your appetite because your hypothalamus is blasting out those chemicals saying that you're full even if you haven't eaten, which helps you reduce your food intake, reduces your calorie intake. In fact, in studies all around the world, they're finding that it can reduce your calorie intake almost up to half, almost up to 50% by just using it on a regular basis. Okay. So that's one way we block our appetite. Another great formula that I don't know if any of you know about yet because it's just being released now is the herbal mucil. And that's another ingredient here. Herbal mucil plus. And this one's really simple, because I love simple. You take the herbal mucil. It's filled with psyllium seeds and psyllium husks and slippery elm and marshmallow root. And I'll talk about it in a little minute. In a minute. See this? Look. I'm going to be covered with Sharpie by the end of the day. The last videotaping, I had it all over my face. It was great. We had to break. The herbal mucil, these herbs, are fibrous and mucilaginous. And when you mix them with water and put them in your stomach, they blow up. And you know what? You feel full. So you physically are full because your stomach has expanded. It's like you have a lot of food down there, but you don't have any calories. You don't have any fat. You have fiber and mucilage. I'm going to read you about a statement. Herbal mucil causes appetite suppression because it swells up in your stomach and fills you up. It's full of fiber and mucilage, but not calories. This reduces hunger and suppresses your appetite, which causes weight loss. It's a natural thing. Now, I created the herbal mucil for a way to people to get more fiber, because you know what? We're the biggest animal eaters on the planet. Meat, chicken, fish, eggs, dairy. That's the majority of the diet in America. And it has zero fiber. Zero fiber. None. None exists in animal food. The only fiber is in the vegetarian food. Nuts and grains and fruits and veggies and all that wonderful food contains fiber. So because of that, Americans can't shit. Okay? And that's why I have 9 herbal bowel-moving formulas, and people kept saying, stop, Dr. Schulze, you've made enough. I'm not stopping till Americans start having normal bowel movements. So I got about 100 more formulas to release. Okay, but herbal mucil just adds all the fiber and all the mucilage that you don't get in your food program. And if you really want to go, wow, if you want to have the most magical poop in your life, you got to try this formula, and we'll get you all some of this formula. But anyway, another side of it is that fiber and mucilage fills you up. It swells up in your stomach. Also, it blocks fat absorption, but we're going to talk about that fat and carb blocking next. But it fills you up. And that's what the dual action appetite suppressant complex does. It suppresses. It chemically makes your hypothalamus fire nerve impulse messages and chemical message to your body that says you're full, and it also fills you up, so you're not going to be hungry. Okay, that's why we want to suppress your appetite, because you're getting blasted with all those photos of fast food and all the commercials on television and all the smells from the restaurants that we know even put allergens in the secret sauces to make you addicted to eating more fast food. So we got a war out there going on, and I want to win the game, and one of the ways I'm going to win the game is by suppressing your appetite.